6 ways that you can overcome the fear of trying something new so you can enjoy your everyday life. First thing is to just be willing to try. Let the experience be what it is. Don't set any expectations that are too high and all this. Just show up and be willing to try. Second thing is to gain clarity on what it will take to try this new thing. Third thing is to outline your next steps. What exactly do you need to do? And put those next steps on the calendar. So that'd be number 4. Put those next steps on a calendar so you can hold yourself to completing these things and doing these actions that will push you towards your goal. And then also, number 5, feel the fear and keep going. And then number 6, let people know what you're doing and accept their help.
Welcome to the Luxury State of Mind podcast, where we focus on intentionally crafting a life that feels tailor-made for you. On each episode, you'll learn how to create luxury in your everyday life and celebrate the uniqueness that is you. I'm your host, Damio Shodi, and I'm excited to help you develop a luxury state of mind.
Hey there, welcome to the Luxury State of Mind podcast. I'm your host, Damio Shodi, and on this podcast, my goal is to help you live in luxury every single day of your life. So every single day, I want it to feel like home for you, that it's just something that you enjoy. You're doing the things that you enjoy. You're living the life that you feel called to live. And it doesn't matter how much you have in your bank. It doesn't matter your background. You can live in luxury today. And I say that on every episode because I truly believe luxury starts in the mind. And when we speak about luxury, it's really about living a life that is meaningful for you. So on each episode, I share different ways for you, especially in a mindset perspective, to be able to live in luxury and how to tailor your life, your everyday schedule, and all the things that you're doing so you can feel more at home with your everyday. So on this episode, we are going to be discussing how to overcome the fear of trying something new. I know that trying new things can be very scary because we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what could be if we do that new thing, and that new thing, you fill in the blank, whatever that is for you. But trying something new at times really can feel scary because it's just unknown. But the flip side of that is trying something new can actually be a wonderful surprise. So I'm not sure if I mentioned it in a previous episode, but I started ballet this year. And this is actually going to lead me to the topic of how to overcome the fear of starting something new. Because I started the preparation for the recital this month. I've never been in a recital, never done anything like this before. I didn't even know what ballet, like anything about ballet. When I started this year. So it has definitely been interesting. And I'm going to get to how I felt before the month of August, because low key, I was on the verge of being like, you know what, maybe I just don't need to do this. If I didn't make the financial commitment, I may have already dipped because things were getting a little tough, but we're going to talk about that. What happens when you're starting to feel negative emotions when you're doing something new. So again, looking back at what could hold you back from starting something new. There's 2 things that I found more for myself, and I'm sure maybe you can relate to this. So one of the things that can really hold you back is the fear of making a mistake in front of people. Being afraid to make a mistake, because what if you do it, or what if you look stupid? This was actually a major thing for me. I remember growing up, and I would say I kind of have slowly let go of this as I've gotten older, but it still can be a struggle. I didn't like to publicly speak, which is so funny because I'm doing a podcast, right? But I think there were times when I was younger that I felt very humiliated publicly, just different situations that happened. And I think that was a trigger. So I would never want to voice my opinion out publicly unless it was the appropriate forum. But if there was in class and they're like, hey, raise your hand if you know the answer to this. I didn't want to raise my hand because I was scared. What will I look like if I get the answer wrong? How will people perceive me? So that definitely was a huge fear. The fear basically of other people. What would they say about me if I do this thing? And then another thing is just the fear of what would happen. What if? What if I put my effort into this new thing and it doesn't come out the way I thought it was going to come out, or I didn't get the expected result? What if I put my all into this and then what I wanted to happen, I just don't see it. So then I just don't do it, right? But the question that you have to really think about if you are in this fear of starting something new, or you may not even know that you have this fear. You may just be like, everything they tell you, hey, let's do this, let's do that. No, I don't want to do that. Oh, no, that's not my thing. Oh, da, 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 da. All those phrases. See if you can evaluate. Is it really that it's not your thing? Or is it that you're afraid to just try something new? And because you're afraid to try something new, you're very stuck in just doing the same thing. Every day looks the same. Every day looks like the same old. You eat the same foods. You go to the same places. I know people that are in this area, in this Dallas Metroplex, that won't even drive downtown or won't even drive outside of their city, because there's multiple cities in this area, because just for whatever reason, oh, there's this cool thing going on. Why don't you go? No, I don't want to do that. Oh, why don't you try this? Like, I've been here. It's really, I don't want to do that. When you start saying, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that, no, that's not cool, really think, is it a fear of starting something new? What is that? Why is it that everything that is suggested or an opportunity comes up and you just take your hands off and you're like, I don't want to do it? But is that possible, that fear robbing you of enjoying your everyday life just a little bit more? Because on this podcast, my goal is to help you enjoy your everyday life. It's not just about when you're able to go on trips or when you're able to, get new clothes or get new things like that. How can you make every day better? How can you make every day more luxurious? How can you make every day more authentic to yourself? Is it possible that that fear of trying something new is actually robbing you of feeling that luxury every day? Okay. So just kind of keep that in mind. And I'm going to share with you the new thing that I started, and I alluded to it in the beginning, which was ballet. Okay. I have never done ballet. Well, actually, that's a lie. I did ballet when I was like maybe 3 or 4, but I'll be honest with you, I don't remember nothing. Like, you could have told me that, I mean, you did this for a year. Babes, don't remember, not a thing. Okay. I was a figure skater growing up. I did figure skating for 10 years. And you would think that ice skating is the same as ballet. Some like professional skaters do ballet to help them train. So the certain movements are the same, but ballet is in a different language. If you didn't know, it's in French. Men don't speak French. Okay. So that's something new that I had to, or I'm learning these French words because it's not in English. It's in French. So I have no understanding. I didn't know what first position, second position, fourth, fifth, no clue. Didn't know the basics. How did I even end up at this ballet class? That's probably what you're wondering. Like, girl, how did you end up here? Why did you even have an interest? I took this other class with a friend and I loved the instructor. I'm like, man, she's so cool. She's a Black woman and it's an adult like environment. Like there's just adults that train at this ballet studio. Or at this studio, and they offer a whole lot of classes. So I took this like other class. And then I looked on her website and I saw that within the next week, she was going to open up a new series called Ballet 1, which basically teaches you all the basics of ballet. And again, it's an adult environment. So a lot of people are either just beginning, they've never started ballet before, or they used to do it as a kid and they needed the, I guess, like more instruction or just some reminders of like what they've learned in the past. So at that time, I was looking for a new way to be active. I had been working out at home for over a year at that point, and I was kind of getting tired. I was like, I just need to do something new and just interesting. So I remember I went to this class and I signed up for this class on a whim, just showed up, no expectations, just showed up and thought it was so cool. I'm like, oh, look at the lights, look at the bars. Like, oh my gosh, like, am I a ballerina? Like, am I about to be a ballerina? And actually, I'm lying. I didn't even think that. I literally just showed up because I was like, I need a new way to like be active. That was my only goal. And it was just cool hearing the different stories that people were sharing and why they're there and creating a new group of people to know, a group of women to know. So that's how I started doing ballet. And we're going to use that as a template. what would cause me to start this thing that I have no background knowledge of? I mean, I'm a dancer. I love to dance, but I'm not a ballet dancer. That's a different type of dancing. Okay. So what would cause me to do that? So I'm going to jump back into the story of how I started ballet, how the process has been going, and how that has taught me to overcome fears of starting something new. We're going to hop into that in a few, but there are some things that I want you to also keep in mind when it comes to starting something new that can help you overcome the fear. So the first thing is you have to think when you are faced with the decision to try something, and this can be applied to big and small things. It all depends on you. The first thing you want to keep in mind is, what will this give me that I don't have now? Clearly, when you're starting something new, there is something that you are going to gain. If it's an experience, are you going to get a new experience? You're going to have more joy. Are you going to gain more knowledge that can move you forward? Like, what is it that you will gain that you don't have now? Think about it like that whenever you have fear of starting something new. What will I get if I just take the leap and I do this new thing? What really would I gain? Would I gain more confidence? Would I gain more insight? If you wanted to join, I know I always talk about coaching, but it's true. Like, that's a huge leap. If you wanted to join a new program and there's an investment involved, but on the other side of that, you're going to gain wisdom. You're going to reduce your time that you would have spent trying to figure it out by yourself. You're going to gain so much. What would you gain that you don't have now? So keeping that in mind. And being in ballet, would you get a new physique? Would you find a new love for exercising? Would you be able to express yourself creatively? So that's one thing that you would think about. A second thing that you're going to think about is you don't know what action you take will push you forward. I don't know if you're like me, but in the past, I used to think that if I do this, then it equals X equals Y or A equals B, or this is straight. And I think just as you heard on episode 8, my story of wanting to be in medicine and then, just letting that go and finding or going on this new journey. So if you haven't listened to that, check out episode 8 where I talk about the harm basically of stifling your gifts, right? But in life, something that I've gotten to know, especially on this journey of revamping who I am and really coming into my own, is that you don't know what action will actually set you forward, or what action or what decision that you make will put you on the trajectory for a better life. And this concept is found in Ecclesiastes 11:6. Chapter 11, verse 6. So it says, sow your seed in the morning, and at the evening, let your hands not be idle, for you do not know which will succeed, whether this or that, or whether both will do equally well. Meaning you just got to sow your seed. You just have to take action, do whatever you can do in this time that you have, because you never know what will come out of it. And I actually loved hearing this from Tim Ross on his podcast. He talked about before, he had this podcast and all of that, he made music. He did a lot of things. Like, he found himself on, I don't know if it was America's Got Talent or some kind of music competition. And I don't even remember all that he did, but he was just saying, like, he just did a lot of stuff. And it wasn't with the hopes of this is going to take off. This is going to whatever. He just did it just because the opportunity was there, and he took the opportunity to try and to do something, and it bore fruit in different ways in his life. So you have to think that sometimes that fear of not trying is actually holding you back. Your seed is still in your hand, and you haven't sown your seed. You haven't sown your abilities. And if you don't sow, and this is a principle, seed time and harvest is a principle, not just even a biblical principle. It is the principle of how the world works. When you sow a seed, you reap a harvest. When you put a seed, or you put your ability, you put your gift, you put whatever it is in your hand out into the earth or out into an environment, there will be a harvest. We don't know when. And that's the thing. The verse said, we don't know which will succeed, this or that. And that is just how it is. But Don't hold yourself back. Just put your seat out. And then another thing you have to keep in mind is that if you don't change anything, nothing will change. And if you are cool with how things are, then that's fine. You don't need to try something new, or it's just not as important. If you're fine, and that's okay too. But since you're listening to this episode, I can bet that you actually want to try something new. You want things to change. And sometimes no amount of prayer and fasting will change things. You just have to act and do and partner with God in that way so that things can change. Or just do something and things can change. But if you don't take any action at all, everything stays the same. And if we're satisfied with that, no problem. But if you're not, keep on listening. And we're going to overcome that fear of trying something new. So how do you try it, something new, when you have no experience, no prior knowledge of something, and you're just jumping into something? It could be a new activity. It could be going to a new restaurant. It could be going to a new part of town, traveling. How do you do it? What does it take in order to do this? So I'm going to break this down. And again, I'm going to use my ballet as an example of how I did this. So when I showed up to that first ballet class, the first thing I had to really understand and think about is like, I just need to be willing to try. So the first thing is just be willing to try. That doesn't take much effort. It just takes a mindset shift. Just be willing to try and let the experience be what it is. So when I got to that ballet class, I wasn't going there thinking I'm going to be a good dancer because I have figure skating experience, or, oh, I will be able to keep up. I'm physically fit. No, ma'am. I literally just showed up and with no expectations, but I was willing to try. I remember the first class, we were sweating. She's like, you go sweat. I know it's your first class, but you're going to sweat, because my body had never been in those positions. I had to keep my back straight, but then also my hips forward and my toes pointed and my arms with the elbows facing the back of the room. And then I had to have ballet arms. I had to know first, second, fifth position with my arms. A la Segan. What else? The fifth one. All these different things on the first day. Imagine if I went in there thinking, well, I know what to do. I know how this goes. I've seen ballet before. I've done ice skating before. No, I just had to be willing to try. And honestly, let the expectation let the experience be what it was going to be. So that's one. That's free yourself of the expectation that you have of that experience. Free yourself of what you think should be and just try. All right. So then number 2, a way that you can overcome the fear of trying something new is to gain clarity on what it will take to actually try and to show up. And another way of saying that is, what is the cost? A lot of times, or a reason why trying something new feels so hard is because there's a lack of clarity. And that clarity, or lack of clarity, can get really noisy in the mind. I absolutely love the opportunity to be able to celebrate with people and to know what they are doing in life that makes it more meaningful and more exciting, equaling luxury. So let's see what's in the inbox today. So for our win this week, I'm going to be reading the win that Jocelyn sent over, and it's very short but very impactful. It says, when I didn't like my nails when I went to the nail salon, I ended up speaking up and I had them remove what I didn't like and then do it again. And this is an amazing win. Thank you, Jocelyn, for sharing this for the whole community to hear. And I love this because, in this segment of the podcast, my thing is to celebrate both big and small wins and everything in between. And this is important because as women, we may feel like we don't want to inconvenience others when we are getting a service done or we want something to change, and we'll stay quiet and allow people to basically treat us the way that they're comfortable doing it. But in this case, being able to speak up and to say that they don't like something, or for her to say she doesn't like something and then to ask for them to redo it and have that boldness and confidence is definitely a win, because it is teaching us when we do this that our voice matters and what we desire matters, especially if we're paying for it. So again, thank you, Jocelyn, for sharing that with the community. And if you are interested in sharing a win, definitely share it via the SpeakerPipe link, which is going to be in the show notes of this episode. Or you can even send it to me and I will read it on the podcast as well. So thank you for sharing your win, Jocelyn. And thank you to the rest of you who are going to share your wins as well. All right, now let's get back into the episode. When you don't know what next steps to take or what to do, it just gets really noisy. And that noise can come up as fear. And then you just don't do the new thing. You just don't try it. So a way to help you gain clarity, there's a couple things that you can do to gain clarity. The first thing is you can do research. And this research can look like these three things and probably more, but I'll just list out three. Number one, asking questions. That's a great way to gain clarity. Ask questions of the people who are where you want to be or doing the things that you want to do or you want to try. Be open to ask questions. Don't be afraid to look a certain way. You need clarity on what it is you're trying to do. And this is great. Like, let's say you're trying to transition to a new type of role. You don't just jump into the role and try to find your way inside there. No, talk to people who are in the role that you aspire to be in. Ask them questions. What is their day-to-day like? What kind of trainings do you think I should do in order to prepare? How should I revamp my resume? What is something that I should look out for? Whatever is causing you that stress, just ask questions. You can also do this by coffee chats, networking with people, asking those questions, building relationships. So be able to not be scared to voice what it is that you need. And then also understand what is the commitment and the expectation. So that is also a big thing for me. Before I do anything, I want to know what is the expectation? Do you have an expectation of me? Is there an expectation? What is the commitment level to doing this? Because I want to know before I just jump all willy-nilly into this, can I commit to this? Can I be able to do what is being asked of me? So I would ask those type of questions, right? So once you've found all of your findings, you've asked your questions, you understand the cost of something, you understand what the expectations are, you understand or you have a clearer picture of what is going on, you would then write everything down, put it all on one page. And I like to call this a brain dump. And I do this a lot, actually, when I'm starting to feel very overwhelmed and I feel like there's a lot of things that I need to do. It's just a lot of noise, right? That noise in your mind can overtake the clarity that is there. So just write everything down. Make a list. What is it that I need to do? Put it on paper. Take what is in your mind, take it out and put it on paper or type it out. So you have room to think. You have room to make decisions that are not based off of just fear and lack of clarity, but are made off of a sound mind, a sound decision making. I used to have a bad habit of wanting to make decisions really quickly. Part of it, I think, was just how I was brought up. You know, you need to be able to make decisions and all that. And I would get frustrated because I couldn't make the decision. I felt so like I lacked clarity. And I remember when I was talking with somebody who was helping me with my career. And I was telling her that, oh, this person offered me to do this and that, but I don't know. I don't feel comfortable. I'm not sure. And she said, Dami, like, you don't have to make a decision right now. You don't have enough information to make a decision. Like, ask these questions. Go and ask your questions first before you make a decision. And I never knew that concept. I thought you just had to make decisions. Just do it. But sometimes there are some things that you want to try or do something new that require certain questions to be answered to give you that clarity and peace that you're looking for so you can move forward in that confidence. So how this showed up in me gaining clarity to continue with ballet, to take ballet, was the instructor let us know what are the expectations. What is the expectation of coming up to this ballet class? She made it easy for us to ask questions. So we asked our questions. What do we need? What do we need to do? What are, all these different things. How often is the class? Which we knew, but just, again, trying to get clarity to help make a decision if this is something that I actually want to do or move forward in. And remember, I have no expectation of being a ballerina or being in a company. For me, that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just wanted to have a new hobby and a new way to stay fit. So in me understanding what her expectations were of me and of the class made it easy for me to move forward. So that would be the second thing, gain clarity. The third thing that you can do to help overcome this fear of starting something new is to outline your next step. So the last step, you got all the information that you needed, or most of the information that you needed to gain more clarity. So you knew what the expectations were. You've done your research. So now we're going to write. And that brain dump, honestly, was kind of the next steps that you have to do. So we're going to continue to write that out. You're going to put all those ideas, all of these things, and put them out on paper or on your Word document. Put everything in one place. Understand what is necessary. What do you need to do? Who do you need to speak with? What are the next steps that you need to take? You've done the research. And in my dance class, that looks like, how often do I need to come to the class? What do I need to get? I need to buy ballet shoes. The first couple of weeks I showed up with socks. So she's like, oh, come as you are, whatever. But then I was like, you know what? Let me upgrade to ballet shoes. You need ballet shoes. Oh, like these are the type of clothes that I can wear. This is how often the class is going. Is there more opportunities for me to take classes? So I would write all these things down and be able to do them. So that's how I started executing. Okay, let me go get my ballet shoes this day. Let me make sure I'm on time for this class on this day. Or, oh, there's another opportunity to try the class on another day. Let me show up to that. So writing down your next steps. Another thing that you can do, the fourth thing that you can do to overcome fear of trying something new is to put these next steps on a calendar. So with outlining, you've outlined those next steps. Now we're going to take action in putting them on a calendar. So this is the fourth thing that you can do. Put those next steps on a calendar. Put them in your planner. Put a date to when you will do these things. I find it so much easier to accomplish a task when there's a date to accomplish it or a time period to accomplish it. Instead of having it just whirling in your mind, when am I expected to finish this task? That once I do this, it's going to lead me closer to my goal or the new thing that I'm trying. So with my dance class, we meet every week. And I know on Mondays we are going to be meeting, or whatever day when I start a new series, this is the day we're going to be meeting. I have to think to myself when I put that on the calendar, what do I need to accomplish so I can make sure I meet that class? Typically, the days that I have classes seems to be the days where I'm kind of busy at work. So I have to really, put that effort, put that energy into doing the tasks I need to do at work on time so I can meet the class. I actually even had to make some tweaks to my schedule and how I did things. Because, for example, I was like, man, I feel really stressed before I go to class. And I don't like that. Or I feel like I'm staying up late because classes in the evening time before, or classes in the evening time. So I feel very stressed and I feel like I'm staying up late because I'm trying to prepare for the evening or prepare for the next day at work. So I just altered some things about, okay, I know I'm going to have on Mondays before I go to class, I need to make sure I have my food prepared, or I need to take out my clothes for work before I actually leave to class. So when I come home, I'm less stressed. I can just get in the shower and head to bed. So I just made little tweaks. But in me knowing that this thing happens on this day every week, it lets me know and think ahead, okay, this is what I need to do in order to make sure I meet the goal of coming to this class. And what do I need in order to do that? So that's the fourth way that you can overcome fear of trying something new. And if you can tell, all of these things are very practical. First, it starts in the mind, and then it becomes very practical. And I think the biggest thing here is gaining clarity on what you need to do, understanding the expectations of what this new thing entails, so you have a clear mind and you can make decisions that allow you to keep going in this new thing. Another thing that you can do to overcome this fear is to feel the fear and keep going. Which sounds crazy, right? Because we're trying to overcome the fear, but if we're honest, there are going to be some things, or there's some things, it's just going to happen. It's something new. Like, you're going to be scared to do it. Sometimes there's going to be a fear. And I used to think when I was younger that if I had a negative emotion about something, then it's clearly a no, because I should be operating in peace, right? Oh, I'm a child of God, or I should have peace all the time. But a lot of times, especially when something is new and is stretching you, you don't always have peace. But does that mean you stop? I had to grow in my understanding of life and understand that sometimes the fear which I'm feeling is not because this is not good for me or I shouldn't continue, but it's something new. My mind doesn't understand it, and I should just keep going. So this happened to me rather recently, especially with ballet. I mentioned before that I'm preparing for a recital. So I went from no expectations, just showing up to the class, to now I sign up to be in a recital. Like, how did we get there? But that's the beauty of when you try something new, there's so many surprises that are in store for you when you do this new thing. Previously, a couple months ago, I was feeling very stressed out. Like, I was feeling stressed because I felt like, okay, this recital is coming up and I don't feel I'm prepared. I feel like I'm not doing that great. I feel like I'm going to look stupid on stage. Even though the teacher kept saying, like, I'm not going to allow y'all to look like crazy. But I was like, I feel like I'm looking crazy. Okay. I feel like I'm looking crazy. And I remember having a conversation with somebody. I was like, man, if I didn't make this financial commitment to be in this recital, I probably would back out. Because I feel stressed. I feel overwhelmed. I feel like I'm not doing to the best of my ability, or not to the best of I was doing actually the best of my ability. But I felt like it just wasn't enough. So I was feeling that fear. I wasn't enjoying that class or that series, really. I was not enjoying it because I was scared. How will I be perceived on that stage? Honestly, that was really the big thing. And I feel like I'm not meeting the expectations of my teacher, which she never communicated that to me, but that's just how I was feeling. So in that moment, I could have just stopped. I could have just been like, whatever. Like, it's not even that deep. I don't even want to be in ballet like that. Like, it's whatever, right? But little did I know, like, I just kept going. I remember I was talking to somebody and they're like, just keep going. And I was like, I know I'm going to keep going, but I'm just saying this is how I feel, okay? So I kept going. Lo and behold, I was feeling stressed and we didn't even learn the choreography yet. What we had been doing was just technique. I thought it was choreography because she kept alluding to choreography. So I'm like, oh God, this is the choreography. Like, I can't stand on elevate. I can't raise my leg and be on my tippy toes at the same time. Like, it's just not working. But little did I know, it was just technique. We hadn't even learned choreography. So when we started learning choreography, the class actually got a lot easier. Imagine if I just stopped midway because I'm feeling fearful. I feel like I'm not going to match up to the made up expectation of what I need to be doing. But yeah, we didn't even learn the choreography at that point. We were just learning technique and learning new things because, hello, I've never done ballet before. I have no training in this. So it was new, it was hard because I've never done it. But thankfully I kept going. I signed up for the next series and now we're learning the choreography. So sometimes those negative emotions that you're feeling are not indicators for you to stop. They're just growing pains and stretching you. And that's all it is. And then the sixth thing to help you overcome this fear of trying something new is to let people know what you're doing. Bring people on the journey with you and accept their help. I would say one of the keys to being successful is letting others walk with you. Tell people what you're doing. Tell them about your new venture, and you will be amazed how people will rally around you and want to support you and want to provide resources to you. But if you keep quiet and you don't want people to know because you're afraid of being embarrassed or you're afraid of looking stupid, you're just going to be going on your own gas. But sometimes what you got is not enough. You need other people to support you and to encourage you. I am blown away by how many of my friends actually want to come to my recital. Like, they actually have to pay money to come. Like, it's not free, but they are so excited about what I'm doing. They want to be able to come. They want to invest their time and their energy and their money to support me. And that encourages me. It makes me feel like, wow, like I'm actually doing something. I've even had a friend say to me that how I keep doing different things and trying new stuff inspires her. And that's huge. That's a great way to inspire people. When you try all these new things, when you do something that you found fearful, but you're going and you're trying and you're doing, you get to inspire other people as well. So those are 6 things that you can think about and implement that are practical ways to overcome fear when you want to try something new. So just to recap with you, 6 ways that you can overcome the fear of trying something new so you can enjoy your everyday life. First thing is to just be willing to try. Let the experience be what it is. Don't set any expectations that are too high and all this. Just show up and be willing to try it. Second thing is to gain clarity on what it will take to try this new thing. Another way of doing this is, what is the cost? Count the cost before you start something new, so you can reduce the noise in your mind so you can start making more decisions through a lens of clarity. Third thing is to outline your next steps. What exactly do you need to do? And put those next steps on the calendar. So that'd be number 4. Put those next steps on a calendar so you can hold yourself to completing these things and doing these actions that will push you towards your goal. And then also, number 5, feel the fear and keep going. There will be fear that comes up. Just because you try something new doesn't mean always that fear just goes away, but you just keep going, especially if it's something that you want to do. And then number 6, let people know what you're doing and accept their help. People are always willing to support you, especially if they believe in what you're doing, big or small. They want to support you on your journey. So give them that opportunity to do that for you. So I hope you found this episode helpful. If you are looking to start something new, if there's been something that you've been scared to do, let me know in the comments. You can comment on the YouTube page. Let me know, what is it that you were afraid to do, and after listening to this podcast, you plan on doing now? What will you plan on doing moving forward? I would love to hear that as well. And then also, if you are loving this content, if you feel this content has been a blessing for you and you want these same principles of a luxury state of mind to be spoken about at your next event or at your next conference, I would love to partner with you and share all of these great things about living in a luxury state of mind. So if you would love for me to speak at your next event or share insights on living a luxury state of mind, you can email me. I will put the email in the show notes as well. And let's have a conversation of how I can add value to your audience. So thank you again so much for listening. I do not take it for granted. I appreciate you and your support and your engagement. It's an amazing thing to be able to show up on this podcast week in and week out. So I will catch you on the next one. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the episode. If you enjoyed what you heard, please share with a friend and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also view the full episode on YouTube. Thanks for listening, and I'll speak to you on the next episode.